What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now for today's video we're going to be talking about water cooling, specifically EK's new custom water loop configurator on their website. Now there's tons of people out there who want to get into the water cooling aspect of enthusiast PC building, but it's kind of scary because you have to consider all the parts and the time you have to input into a water loop, like fittings, pumps, reses, radiators, types of fans. There's a lot of things to take into consideration to have a proper working water loop without having anything messed up. So EK went through and made a little section on their website that kind of takes the pain out of picking all of these pieces. It's just a step-by-step, put in your parts, what you want to cool, and it pretty much spits out every piece down to the fitting that you will need to build your custom loop. So we're going to take a look, dive in, and kind of see how it actually works. Okay, so what you're going to do is start by going to ekwb.com, and you're going to scroll down to custom loop configurator, and from here you got this cool little page. It's going to show you all the options you can type in and make sure you get the right hardware set up. For the case, we're going to go with something that not most people have, Case Labs SM88, just because it's got great radiator support and a bunch of options to use. Now same thing with the motherboard. We're going to use something that not most people have, an X99 designator from Gigabyte, because it's got EK offers options to cool everything on it. Now, for the GPU, we're going to go with a 1080 Founders Edition. You always want to go with the Founders or a reference style card, because it's always supported by all water cooling companies for their blocks. That way you don't have to deal with taking off any types of heatsinks or VRMs put on by an aftermarket. And for RAM, let's just click 8 because. Now on this page, pretty cool. You got a bunch of things to highlight, and those things are the options you can cool. You don't have a chipset yet, and you don't have full coverage blocks, but you got RAM, motherboard, VRM, CPU, and the GPU, which you can cool multiple GPUs at once. The 1000 series only support dual link SLI. So we're going to click GPU and the RAM, mostly because I don't like monoblocks, and if you cool the top VRM and CPU, they're going to give you a big old monoblock. I don't like them. Scroll down, hit next. That brings you to this rather interesting page because it's a little odd. When it comes to liquid cooling, they're giving you the option of silent, overclocking, or silent and overclocking, which is odd because all you have to do essentially is turn down your fan curve or increase your fan curve for more airflow, and it will increase the cooling to an extent. If you have an extreme overclock added into either your CPU or your GPU, you're going to have varying numbers and varying temps, which is also where this portion of this page comes in handy. You've got much more than 3 locations for support on these cases from Case Labs, so you may have to do a couple purchases after this, but most cases it will show you every spot you can mount them to. Now down here you scroll and you have all your different radiators. This is going to limit the mess ups you can have. It tells you all the radiators your case can support. So here you can click the 480, the 360, 240, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Whatever makes you happy. For this case, let's hit the 480. Come on, hit the 480. And you see it has 26 degrees for just this one rad. Hit the single, which is 39. Each one lowers it down depending upon the size. Same with this is a slim, so if you got less space to work with, you can click that. Then you can go over here to the front position. Pick your single or your double or however you want to do it. Same thing with the bottom, your quad, your triple, your double, whatever makes you happy. But larger the radiator, typically the more cooling you're going to have. That number down there is going to give you an estimate. Now don't count on 24C operating temperature. Once you start getting into applications like games or editing or whatever you want to do, that temp will most likely climb. Especially if you have any type of overclock on your CPU or your GPU, expect that temperature to sit a lot higher than 24C. So once you're done with all that, hit next. That brings you to this little thing. Now between flex and rigid tubing, performance, not a lot of difference. Biggest thing is aesthetics of the case. Rigid tubing, in most people's opinions and mine, is going to look a lot cleaner, but you got two things to compete with. One, the difficulty of bending tubing. You have to have a heat gun, you got to have a silicone insert. It's a headache, and it can take a lot of time. Or B, spending extra money on even more fittings to make your 90 degree or your 45 degree turns or whatever if you don't want to bend. So with rigid, you either spend more time or more money. Now, for the sake of the video, we're going to go with flex tubing because you got a couple options that you don't have with rigid when you go to the next page. So let's hit next. Now, here is the next page. Shows you all kinds of stuff besides the tube color of the tube, which is exclusive to, for now, from EK, the flex tubing. Rigid tubing pretty much comes in clear, whether it be PTEG or glass, although you can always go with the copper tubing if you want, but that's not supported on EK yet. Now here, you can pick tubing color. If you want to go white, yellow, blue, green, orange, whatever, you can go clear and get a colorant. Entirely up to you. Different sizes over here, all up to you again. Now, also get to pick fitting colors. Again, this is only EK's fittings. You don't get aftermarket fittings in these things, but as long as you know your size, you can, if you want to go with like a different brand of fittings, you can easily put those in. That's all up to you. But a bunch of colors. You even got a couple colors for your top block on your CPU. Again, all limited to what they offer. So let's just say we're going to go with this setup right here, because why not? You're going to go with the flex tubing and you're going to put a color to it. Don't spend any extra money on colored coolant because you probably won't be able to see what it is. Alrighty, scroll down here and you got your GPU block. Now, for the actual block on the in the GPU and the VRMs, you've got two options: black and clear. Pick whichever one makes you happy. Performance-wise, no difference. On the top block, or on the backplate cover, you have a couple options. You got black, gold, red, nickel, and blue. So you have a bit more flexibility going on there. I want to keep it all black and just make it look sleek, for whatever. Here you've got your reses. Other than aesthetics and what your case can accommodate, performance-wise, almost no effect comes from your res, if any at all. It's all what you visually like to see. Me personally, I visually like to see a cylindrical res, so that's what we're going to go with. Hit next, and then you have two options: a pump res combo or a separate pump and res. Again, performance, almost no difference whatsoever. The only difference is on the separate pump and res, you have to make sure you know the orientation of the flow of your liquid from your pump to your res, or vice versa, so you don't short out or dry run your pump accidentally when you're filling this thing up. Doing that, horrible thing to have happen. So if you're a beginner, might be best to go with a pump res combo. But real quick, I'll show you. If you hit pump and res separate, this is just what they set you up with. Come down here into expert mode. You've got varying options of pumps, all of them moving more water. Only reason you might want to increase your flow rate is, say you have two graphics cards, a CPU, your VRMs, and a chipset, all on one loop. You're probably going to want something that has a higher flow rate than what they start you off at. Where is it? Flow rate, it doesn't really say it, does it? Oh, here it is. 261 liters an hour. You might want to jump up to something actually, that's pretty good. You might want to do the 300 liters, but it's up to you. The res. The size is all up to what your case can accommodate and what you feel looks the best. The more liquid you have in there doesn't necessarily mean the more performance. It's just going to help fill a case in. Entirely up to your preference. Now, I'm going to do a combo, and again, shows you a bunch of different sizes and different pumps. Again, it's up to you. I'm going to go with this guy. It's a little bit bigger. Same pump, just a little bigger. Likes to fill the case up. Now, you come to this page, and it's going to kind of give you a last little overview of everything that you had. Just double check, yeah, that's my case, that's my motherboard and GPU, and yep, that's how many RAM slots. I picked all that. Just making sure you got what you wanted. And when you hit next, once it ever loads, you've got this page. And the cool thing about EK's configurator, For instance, we picked 2 480s and 1 240. So they're going to give you all the fans that you need to fit on those. They are EK Vardar fans. Really good fans from EK. Great static pressure for radiators. Now, if you want to go with your own brand like Cooler Master or whatever, entirely up to you. Also gives your res down here, your pump res combo, your blocks for your RAM, your motherboard, your GPU, and everything. And one little component that's very useful and great to have is this guy, a bridging plug. When you're building your loop, you should have already tested all components going in. So when you put everything in, you don't want to power up your motherboard right away. What you have to do, because you've got all your fans taken off your GPU and whatnot, is bridge or jump 2 separate pins on your 24-pin ATX plug to power on your pump and allow the flow to start squirting liquid in through the rest of your loop. To do that, this little tool comes in very handy. You just plug it in real quick and it jumps in when you get your power. They also give you 2 different types of splitters. A 2-fan splitter and a 4-fan PWM splitter. Pretty handy to have. Again, you don't need them. You may have plenty of headers on your motherboard. I couldn't tell you that, but it's just nice to have. Once you go through and make sure this is everything you want, hit add to cart, you pay, and boom, you've got your entire custom loop in the mail coming towards you without any worry of possibly picking wrong size fittings or tubing or the wrong size block or anything. It gives you exactly what you need to set up and start building your own custom water-cooled build. Now, after seeing all that stuff come together, you may be thinking, now I can go out and build a custom water loop, which is true, but remember, there's no point in doing a custom loop if you don't already have some of the top-end hardware. Because unless you have the top-end hardware, overclocking it and pushing it to its limit, you're not going to get much use out of a custom loop. But by all means, if you are just in that enthusiast level niche that can afford a full loop just for the looks, go right ahead. EK may be the spot to do it and help you do it without possibly messing anything up or buying the wrong fitting or wrong pump or any combo of the sort. But that's going to be it for now, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.